So, greetings from the apocalypse. Today, we have these gorgeous 22 karat granulated earrings that Sheena made. Look how beautiful they are. So gorgeous. So we're gonna put posts on. Sheena went and got some 14 karat posts. And just for all of you who might be thinking like, oh, I should get a high karat post for my earring if I have 22 karat gold earrings, do not bother. It makes it softer and there's just no benefit to it. So I always use 14 karat posts because 18 karat is just a little more expensive. It's honestly no like benefit to you to have an 18 karat post over a 14. So that's not the money that I'm gonna blow. You know, I'll blow it on something else. So of course, because we're using a 14 karat post, we're gonna use 14 karat soft solder. So I'm gonna cut a couple of very small pieces. You don't want like a big volcano, you just want like a little connection because you don't want to see it, or you don't want to see it much. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little squish because they tend to twist up. One of them jumped. Because normally when I do a square for soldering for a post, I want the square of solder to be just very slightly bigger than the area of the bottom of the post. You know, I don't want it extending out into this big puddle. Because people sometimes like, oh, more solder, it's safer. It's like, no, it's just ugly, really. You know, it's not gonna particularly help. So you see what I mean? The size of those square as compared to the size of the post. All right, so I'm gonna set the post up in a third arm to hold it for us. And you wanna grab the post as far away from where you're gonna be soldering as possible, because if having the steel draw the heat away can kind of interfere with your soldering. So I usually try, before I try to put it on the earring, I just try to like get it lined up relatively straight, like so. You see what I mean? And that way I'll be able to put it right there. Excellent. So I'm going to dip my little square of solder and I'm going to dip it in a little bit of paste flux, and I'm going to put it right on that little spot.
And paste flux is supposed to be...
You can use liquid flux, but the paste flux is just much more concentrated, and I know it's going to keep it clean no matter what. And yeah, exactly. So I don't know. To me, I think that's the way to go. Just like that.
I think I turned this on the door because it's in.
No, that's okay. We'll go turn it on. So to me, from the front, that looks beautiful and straight up and down. But always remember, when putting on a post or a ring shank, you always got to get up and look from the side. So I'm going to do that, and we're going to turn your torch on.
Okay.
So
it looks straight.
It actually does look straight. How do you like that?
Looks beautiful.
It happens every now and then. So we can use a 00 or a 0 tip.
Okay.
But
find a 0? Or you...
Actually, I've got a 0 right here. I think we're good.
Okay.
But the most important thing to remember when putting on a post, the thing that everybody messes up, and that's why they go crazy, is that you have to heat the earring, not the post, when you're putting it on. That's the whole key. The post is very little and melts at a low temperature. If you go up there with the flame, the post melts and you're all mad. So what I do is I'm going to be pointing my flame parallel to the block. You know what I mean? So I'm just heating the earring itself.
Okay.
And you'll see, we'll just watch it, the solder will flow, everything's beautiful. You can give it one little upward flick if you want to make sure you've got a good connection. But that's really the whole key, is keep the torch off the post.
Okay.
So that's good, because that's the mistake, is like they go in like this, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna put it parallel to the block. And I usually just rest my finger on the third arm. I'm not like pushing down hard, but just to make sure that they're in contact. And then you just watch the solder.
Yep. It's
That will give you perfect post soldering every time. It's this thing where you're like at a diagonal and you're hitting the post. That's when it all goes kafooey.
and it's all the softness of the touch. That's really, truthfully, that's what it is.
With this, you mean?
That light finger there.
Because it's just, because that's the thing, is I'm not taking it and pushing.
That's
I'm
right.
just there so that I can feel that they're in contact.
Okay.
Because it's easy to set them up and they look like they're together, but maybe there's actually just the tiniest little bit of space in between. So that's all this does is like I feel that they're in contact.
All right, so I will set up the second one, and before I solder that, will call you.
Absolutely.
I guess we should get water.
Doesn't that look nice? And you see how you just have that little tiny volcano, which the real name for that is a meniscus. Because that's all I want is just that beautiful little attachment. You know, it'll hold up great. So, ta-da!